Hello, my name's Odessa Esco, and this is Commonly Confused English. If you're not already, please subscribe, like, and comment if you have any ideas for another video. This video is actually inspired by a comment. Thank you so much for making a comment and giving me this idea. I love to think, but I also love to not think. If you guys give me the ideas, I can make content faster because I don't have to actually think of what you need. I'll know what you need. Make sure, of course, you're following along in my Google Docs that's linked in my description. It will have more written examples and, of course, a deeper explanation for some of the more complicated words like today's video. Today's video is about one word, though. We don't need any other words to compare to this one because people confuse this word all by itself. To be fair, though has a lot of verbal uses and there's a lot of nuances with the word though. Let's first start off by just describing though's function grammatically in English. I try not to do too much heavy grammar, but just to get the basics for today's video, you need to know what a conjunction is. What's a conjunction? A conjunction is a word that brings two clauses together, like the words so, and, but, and of course, though. We have positive and negative conjunctions. Though is a negative conjunction. Now that doesn't always mean we have negative words like don't or won't in the clauses. It just means that one of the sentences is a negative idea or a negative thought or a negative feeling, something like that. For example, I love shooting videos, though they do take up a lot of time sometimes. Right? So the negative aspect there is that it's time consuming. I'm not directly saying that, but because I have the word though, and my first statement is positive, I love shooting videos, right? You know that there's a negative connotation happening with the other sentence. There must be a downside for it being time consuming. Where most people get confused is the subtle nuances in where and when we use though. So I thought about it and I've broken it down into 4 mental categories you can kind of create to help you decide when and how to use though. The first mental category is though on its own, just in general. The example I gave you about shooting videos, though they are time consuming, is perfect for this. Though in its raw form is just showing you a contradiction. This, but also this at the exact same time. I like shooting the videos, but they're time consuming at the exact same time. The good and the bad happening together. I like anime, though I do have to read because I don't know Japanese. That's showing you the downside of my anime enjoyment. Just so we're clear, I prefer subbed, never dubbed. I have no problem reading subtitles for anime or movies. I like reading. It's not a problem. The next category is though when it's paired with even. You'll hear even though a lot. So of course it's still though, we're comparing a contrast of some sort. But with even though, these specifically talk about failures versus success, or failure versus a positive aspect of a situation or a person's behavior. For example, you could say something like, even though you didn't finish all of your homework, you studied and you really tried to understand. Even though you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you still had some good positive behaviors that I can congratulate you on. So those are the situations you'll hear even though used. Yeah, you didn't do what you had to do, but I'm going to be nice and point out some good things you did do. Like, even though Hamas is a terrorist group, Palestinian people and civilians, Israelites included, should not have to suffer for their actions. The third mental category is though as a question. When you use it at the end of your question and your voice goes up, sometimes. Though, like I said, is always contrasting something in your sentences. But sometimes, very often, in familiar situations or relationships with friends or at work, where you know people's behavior and you have a history with them. So you know past actions and you know past expressions and opinions they've shared with you. This is when you use that history and that kind of known unspoken knowledge to contrast things that are being said in the present. For example, let's pretend we have a friend named Beyonce. Okay, and Beyonce is always late to events because she's very, very busy working and she has children, and it's really hard for her to actually show up, even if she does say she's gonna be there with her friends. Now, most of her friends know this, so we're in the present time and we're organizing an event now. And somebody says, okay, so Beyonce says she's gonna be here at 8, right? Beyonce, this is the late friend that's never really on time and sometimes, doesn't show up at all. Another person in the room might say, okay, but is she really gonna come though? So in this sentence, is she really gonna come though? It seems kind of short and choppy, but that though is carrying all the history, all the past events she didn't make, all the past events she was late to is in that though. And everybody in the room that knows Beyonce knows what that person means when they say, is she really gonna come though? Is she really gonna come? Because her history of coming to events is not good. So, though at the end of a sentence is used to emphasize kind of known histories and patterns of people and situations. The fourth and final mental box I have for you, I feel like I'm Sherlock Holmes. With the mind mansion, he has a mind mansion. Okay, never mind. The fourth and final category is, I don't know though. Okay, so you can tell by how I'm saying it. I don't know though, of course, always contrasting information, but this time we're contrasting it against ourselves. Usually when people say, I don't know though, at the end of a statement or a sentence, it's because they've just given somebody some information. Maybe they're telling you what they heard from somebody else or something they saw on the news briefly, and they add, I don't know though, to let you know they're not 100% certain. Like, they haven't done any checks, they haven't done their own research. They're just giving you kind of word of mouth, a little bit of gossip maybe, or a little bit of information they heard in passing that they want to be helpful for you. But if it isn't, or if it turns out to be incorrect, they don't want to have any responsibility. So they're letting you know, like, hey, I'm not an expert at this, or I'm not 100% if I remember it correctly. This is a lifesaver for, liability and responsibility. For example, perhaps you're on the street in your own country and you see some tourists walking around looking confused, and they ask you a question about a landmark, and you might say, oh, I think it's over there to the right, perhaps. But you're not a local tour guide, you just live there. So you're gonna give them your best guess, and to make sure they know it's a guess, you're gonna say, I don't know though, right? You're letting them know, this is what I think I know, but I don't know if it's 100%. Also in this category, we have the I don't know though, meaning like, I don't know if that's a good idea, ideas you don't support. So perhaps your friend has told you an idea or a plan for the weekend and you're telling it to another friend. Beyonce wants to go to a concert again this weekend, but I don't know though. Right, you're saying like, I don't know if I want to go, I don't know if I don't want to go. In this instance, you're just letting people know if you're not 100% on board with the plan yet. So this is just contrasting what somebody wants to do with what you're actually feeling and what you think you're going to do. This is the most casual and I think most common way people use it. You can hear, I kind of mush my words together the more casual I become. It goes from, I don't know though, to, I don't know though. That's how I say it, especially to add my tone and to emphasize like, I haven't made a decision yet. I definitely sound like that. Okay, that was a lot of information, but to recap everything, there are 4 categories for though that can help you make the right decision. Though on its own, just contrasting 2 ideas, saying 2 truths that kind of bump heads at the same time. I love your shirt, though it has patterns. This person clearly doesn't like patterns, but they still like my shirt, okay? Even though highlights shortcomings and failures versus positive aspects people are choosing to highlight in that situation. It's important to note here, these are oftentimes more statements than questions when they have these those, just because they are contrasting past history and behaviors. It's more like a statement. For example, Odessa's living in Canada, but is she gonna stay there though? People know I like to travel. So the statement's saying, I don't think she's gonna stay in Canada long because she has a history of traveling. And lastly, I don't know though. This is how we provide a disclaimer and avoid blame in a situation we're not 100% sure we know the correct information, or we're not 100% committed to a decision yet. That's all for today's video. Please like, share, and comment if I've helped you in any way. And of course, leave me some more recommendations. I'll see you in my next video. As always, stay cute. Bye.